Call the council meeting to order tonight. We have a quorum present. Tonight we'll be led in the invocation by Pastor Vince Smith from Cross Point Baptist Church here in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, so at this time I'd ask you to rise.
Our Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking for your continued blessings on the city of Sioux Falls and on these, your public servants that you have called to be here, Father. We thank you for the time and effort and dedication they have. And Father, we ask that your wisdom be with them and all that's before them today and every day, Father. Again, Lord, I thank you so much for this city who is so diverse, so many different people from so many different places, Father, a city that is going through change and through challenge, but at the same time, a city that is so full of hope, Father, and whose eyes are so bright and hearts is so big. May you bless us, Father. May we honor you. I ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight, is that on? Is that now? Okay, it's on now. We have, tonight we have 3 proclamations. So as I call your names, if you would just come up here and stand in front, we'll read the proclamation, then present the proclamation. So the first one is National Volunteer Week. So Sarah Crothers, would you want to come up, please? Okay, we got the volunteer coordinators. That's great to see you all here tonight. And this proclamation reads, whereas every community member can affect positive change with any volunteer action, no matter how big or small, whereas volunteers can connect with local community service or opportunities through the hundreds of community service organizations like volunteer centers, whereas millions of volunteers working in their communities utilize their time and talent daily to make a real difference in the lives of children, adults, and the elderly. Whereas during this week, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers recognized for their commitment to service. Whereas the giving of oneself in service to another empowers the giver and the recipient. Whereas experience teaches us that government by itself cannot solve all of our nation's social problems. Whereas our country's volunteer force, which is over 64 million people, is a great treasure. Whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive nation. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim April 15th through April 21st, 2007 as National Volunteer Week in Sioux Falls, and I urge all citizens to volunteer and inspire by example in our community. By volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we can replace disconnection with understanding and compassion. Thank you for all you do. We really do appreciate it. On the next one, it's Financial Literacy Month, and we would just ask Jennifer Helen, Deanna Larson, Nancy Beck, Amber Loudsbury, and Randy Harkless, if they're here, if they would come up. Just you, okay. Jennifer, come on up. Glad to have you. Financial Literacy Month reads, whereas personal financial literacy is an ongoing process from youth to adulthood, whereas many young people fail in the management of their initial consumer credit experience, establish poor financial management habits, and struggle financially, learning by trial and error. Whereas South Dakota Jumpstart Coalition is comprised of public and private organizations committed to the financial education for youth. Whereas it is known importance and benefit that direct continuous financial literacy, instruction from kindergarten through college, impacts youth greatly. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim April 2007 as Financial Literacy Month in Sioux Falls, and thank you for all you do. We appreciate it. Deb, do you want to come up here? There's Deb. Come on up. This one is for National Telecommunications Week. No, that's good. We're glad. We appreciate all you people really do. So we really welcome you with open arms. Hey, Dave. This reads, whereas an emergency is defined as an unforeseen critical event that must be dealt with immediately, whereas emergencies can occur at any time and may require a response of law enforcement, fire, or emergency medical services, whereas public safety dispatchers are the first and most critical contact to the public in emergency situations, whereas these public safety dispatchers preserve the lifeline to responders, promote the protection of life to our citizens, and the perseverance of property, whereas the public safety dispatchers, Metro Communications, pledge a commitment to excellence with every phone call answered, every life-saving instruction given, and every dispatch voiced. Whereas the dispatchers for Minnehaha County and the City of Sioux Falls display true dedication and professionalism in their daily performance of service to the community. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim April 8th through April 14th, 2007 as National Telecommunications Week in Sioux Falls to honor the men and women whose devotion and diligence contribute to keeping our community and its citizens safe. And thank you very much for all you really do. We really appreciate it. You taking this one down? Okay, we'll get started. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded.
Mr.
Further
Mayor.
comments on the motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the consent agenda.
Okay.
I'd like to move item number 24 to the regular agenda before item 28, please.
Okay, that's a motion to move item 24 just above 28.
Please.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further discussion on that motion? Everybody understand the motion? All in favor of that motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Stagers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson, or Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The vote 8-0. That amendment has been added, so that motion has been approved. Now we're back to the main motion as amended. We've had a motion been made. We had a motion been seconded. All in favor of the motion to approve as amended for the consent agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Stagers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved as amended, 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
Move for approval. Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments or motions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the regular agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Stagers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Regular agenda has been approved 8-0. Now is the time that we set aside 5 minutes for anyone that wishes to address the council. What we ask is that they give their name and their address, and for 5 minutes, if you want to come forward to address the council.
Kyle Wiedermann, SMNR Enterprise and Vintage Auto Restoration on North Dakota Avenue, Sioux Falls. There was a presentation made on an ordinance change last week that was in error. They're classifying something that is not a court action. It's an independent hearing action by, I don't know how many of you people on the city council are aware of how an independent hearing officer comes about. But all he is an extension of the city attorney's office, paid for by the city, negotiated by the city attorney's office, and approved by the mayor. That does not make it a legal court action. You just changed an ordinance whereby defendants can go into circuit court, which wasn't previously allowed. I'll leave that at that. There's an action in the courts pertaining to that. The other thing I want to know is how much is the city indoor pool supposed to cost? A great surprise was pronounced this afternoon, and I'm sure my 5 minutes will be declared by Munson quickly, but I want to know, and a lot of people want to know, how much is that city pool allotted out of that $30-some million? You all talked about costs for the library, for the ball field, and for the city pool, indoor pool. And there were cost factors on each one of those, each and every one of them. Now all of a sudden, you can abolish the library, you can abolish the ball field, and you can have a $35 million pool. That's an exaggeration because I know the library won't tolerate it. I don't know about the ball fields, but you're taking a great baseball field away from the city of Sioux Falls. It's been there for years. Nobody will explain the cost of the indoor pool. Thank you.
Thank you. Others wish to... Go ahead, Kevin.
I think we deserve, the administration deserves to respond to that. Gene, would you be willing to share with the public, as you did this afternoon, what the cost figures are on the indoor pool?
Gene Rowenhorst, Director of Finance for the City of Sioux Falls. A few weeks back, the council passed a bond resolution, bond ordinance, authorizing the borrowing or issuing of bonds for what's been referred to as the quality of life. That included Harmadon Park, it included Drake Springs Pool, and it included the library, the addition to it, and the rehabilitation of it. That total amount came to $35 million, but within the bond ordinance itself, it was not identified by individual project. 3 projects added up to $35 million. Outside of the ordinance, it was discussed with the council. The estimated costs that were put in, that were used to generate the $35 million was $12.4 million. It's purely an estimate done by good engineers and that, but it is an estimate, and we won't know what that number is until the project is actually bid.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you. Others wish to address the council for a period of 5 minutes at this time.
Well, Mr. Mayor, too, just for the clarification of the public, whether it's an indoor or an outdoor pool, it will go on that softball field at Nelson Park, too. I think that needs to be made clear.
If I could just ask, I guess that wasn't clear to me that it would actually go on the baseball field at Nelson Park. No, it's never been made clear. We assume that it's going to be across the street, and but that's as far as I know. Unless
it'll be over in Nelson Park.
It'll be over in that area. Yeah. But will we take the ballpark or not? I don't really know.
It's down, I think, below. I don't know if Don's here tonight. It's down below that, and you're still going to. I think it takes. I think it's an acre of land or something what it's going to take. So you still have a lot of green area in that area there. So it'd be equivalent to what you're really doing with the outdoor pool.
So it would take the baseball field. Is that your understanding?
Well, what you got to remember on that Kermit, what we've done is we put out 8 baseball fields at Harmadon, and so do we really need that park over there for baseball? I mean, that's.
I believe it takes a baseball field whether it's outdoor or indoor.
Because they're both going to the same place. Okay. Right. I mean, they're both going to the same place because we cannot build over where the current Drake Springs is because of the soil and all the other stuff. So we're no matter what the citizens choose, indoor or outdoor, it's going to be moved over to the other side. And the parking that, and that Drake will probably become green space there. So we will have a lot of green space. Okay, others wish to address the council in 5 minutes. Anybody else? This is just public input on that. Okay, let's move forward. Item number 24. I see no one come forward 5 minutes, so let's move forward.
The following abatement was recommended for denial by the Director of Equalization in the State's Attorney's Office for Minnehaha County and the City Attorney for Sioux Falls. Diane Sykes, 5701 West 26th Street, for 2006 property taxes in the amount of $775.05. Applicant states that they did not receive necessary documentation.
I'm Diane Sykes, and this is my husband, Robert Sykes, and we do reside at 5701 West 26th Street. I guess we are requesting or asking that our property taxes go back to normal because we didn't receive the letter of the owner occupancy, and we do live there, and we've lived there since we bought it in 2005. So that's it.
Kirby?
Yeah. So in the past, you've gotten this?
No, see, we lived at 1110 West 8th Street. I was the owner, well, Bob, after we got married and that, and then we bought this house on 5701 in August 5th of 2005, and we moved in and everything because we sold our other house, and we didn't get the letter, and now our property taxes went up, and we would just like them to go down to normal because it's like $700-some.
Further questions?
You live in that house?
Yeah, we have.
And did you file the owner occupancy paperwork?
We didn't get the letter. We didn't receive the letter. But we did, after our taxes and all that, came and that, then we did go down to the Board of Equalization and fill out the application.
But this was after October of that year?
Yeah, we just did it actually last month, March 8th.
Thank you.
So Diane, I guess I don't really understand what is going on. So you moved out of one house, moved into the other one, and this house in the interim was regarded as commercial property, is that correct?
No. We lived at 1110 West 8th Street. We sold that. We bought the house at 5701 West 26th Street. Okay, so evidently we were supposed to have gotten a letter from the Board of Equalization saying that we were going to be owner occupancy. We didn't get the letter. We live there. We've lived there since we moved in on August 5th of 2005.
Can I ask you, is from your old house on 8th Street to this house here, is it a considerably bigger house?
No, actually, this one's a little bit smaller. More land, but a little bit smaller.
Vernon?
Gary, do you know, does the county typically send out letters, or is it the owner's responsibility to go and take care of that?
Both. Usually, at the time of closing, when there's real estate is purchased, the form is provided, and the person purchasing the property is instructed to file it with the Director of Equalization. But then after the first of the year, for every property that's transferred in the city that had an owner occupied without a new form being filed, the Director of Equalization sends out a letter saying if you don't file the form, you're going to lose your owner-occupied status. I can't swear. I don't know that they keep certified copies of the letter, and it doesn't go out certified mail, but I know that's a practice.
And one more question. Did your realtor provide you with a copy? Because that's how, when I moved, that's how I got it.
No, he didn't. We do have a copy that he was supposed to have given us that Linda gave it to us.
Yeah.
And we never seen that because he made us initial everything he went over with us, and Our initials aren't on that at all.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Gary, can I have a clarification? I didn't hear the complete statement that you made, but you said that the county does certify those letters?
No, they don't.
They do not certify.
They send them out, but they don't send them out certified.
Okay, thank you.
Bob,
I'm still a little confused here as to the amount of $775.05. Why that amount? Is that the difference between something, or is that the total amount of
That's
the
what it
tax?
increased.
That's what it increased
Over,
from last year. When we moved in, they were 2,273, and now they're clear up to 3,000 something. So it increased $700 because we didn't receive the letter stating that we were owner occupancy. Is what I'm gathering. I guess, you know.
further questions? Not the wishes of the council on item number 24. Motion to approve or to not deny?
I move to approve their request.
Motion to approve has been made. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconds. Further comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess we should seriously consider this, because from what you've told us this evening, you know, you were really living there. I mean, it's not like you weren't living there. And so unfortunately, it looks like we have a problem with paperwork. And so substantively, you were there. And so I would hope that we would strongly consider that and vote in favor.
Further comments? Bob?
I question whether we've established that $775 is the difference between owner-occupied and non-owner-occupied property. When you got the paperwork from the county, was that the difference in the taxes?
Well, this is what I, I mean, I don't understand all this, but it does say difference, $775.05.
No, is that the difference in the taxes that were on the property before you bought it, or is that the difference
Well,
in the taxes after you moved?
They must have been, well, here's all kinds of it down here. I don't understand this stuff, but first it goes down to, or it starts out at 2,218, then it goes to 2,261, then it goes to 2,273, and now it's 3,111.
Basically, though, you didn't qualify for the property tax reduction. That's what you're asking for, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
That's what the state
Is
has.
that the dollar amount that's been established?
Yes, that would be correct. It's approximately 25% of, it's a 25% reduction for the owner occupied, and with the numbers they're giving, that's very close. And those numbers are checked by the Director of Equalization.
Further questions? We got a motion been made and seconded to approve the $775.05 reduction. Everybody understand the motion? Further comments? All in favor of the motion to approve the reduction will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
8-0, it has been reduced for you, so.
Thank you.
Go, yes, got to go to the county. We have approved
Okay,
it, but the county's
okay.
got to approve it too, though. So
Okay.
it's been approved the city, but the county's got to approve it, so.
So then, will someone get a hold of us then, or, okay,
All right, thank you.
keep in.
Mayor,
Yes.
would it be proper for us to establish a process where they use registered mail for those type of things? Because I think we may be setting a precedent here if we don't have such a follow-up type process.
Is that the county's responsibility?
That would be,
The county.
you can certainly talk to the county about it. I'm sure it'd be very expensive to do it, but it might be helpful.
Okay, let's go to 28.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations Planning and Building Services, $47,328. Police, $5,000.
Gene Rowan, Horse Director of Finance for the City of Sioux Falls. This is a supplemental appropriation ordinance for an additional housing inspector. I think that was discussed last week or the last time we talked about this. That money of $47,328 would come from unobligated fund balance. And then we have $5,000, which is a payment that comes from the school district to assist in the training of the police officers that are involved in the school district and are at the schools every day. And then there was a question that went with this. I think Councilman Staggers asked it. We had 1,000. He asked how many employees this would be. We have 1,086. This would be 1,087 then.
Questions of Gene on item number 28? Go ahead.
Yeah, Gene, a housing inspector, can you clarify what they do? They do multi-housing and, well...
I keep track of the money. We'll
Yeah.
let
Let's Mike's here to answer that question. We'll turn it over to Mike.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. We currently have one housing inspector who is responsible for the enforcement of the International Property Maintenance Code, which was recently amended by the action of the City Council. And this code deals not only with the exterior of the building, but also interior. And what we've discovered is that starting last year through our neighborhood code enforcement conservation program, and then most recently meetings that we've been having with the Whittier neighborhood folks, that there's a very strong interest by the public to be more proactive in terms of property maintenance. And I know a lot of the counselors have attended those meetings with the Whittier group. And when we sat and asked them what were your main concerns with your neighborhood, by far the number one concern was property maintenance and maintenance of buildings. So with that, we felt it was time to come forward now with this request rather than waiting until next year. I've discussed it with the mayor. I've discussed it with at least some of the council about this. The current housing inspector position deals with primarily complaints, with the exception of our neighborhood conservation program, where we've gone out and done more proactive inspections. Most of our time is dealt with by complaints. Whenever there's a complaint filed, we go out and we do an inspection, and if we discover that there is a violation, we give the property owner notice, and then if that inspection reveals that that violation has not been taken care of, then we file what's called a notice and order. As of about a month ago, we currently had about 200 open complaints and about 85 open notice and orders that our one housing inspector is dealing with. And just to give you an idea of the level of inspections that we've done over recent years, back in the year 2000, we had 53 notice and orders that were generated by our housing inspector. By 2005, that grew to 85, and last year it increased to 106, primarily because of our neighborhood conservation program initiative. So, with the public interest of being more proactive and not only dealing with these issues by complaint, but also going out into some of our neighborhoods and doing inspections, dealing with violations on a more timely basis, that's the initiative that we're bringing to you with this position tonight. And then the second thing that I would just say is that with the funding that's being requested tonight, that would be general fund dollars that we're requesting for approval tonight. But this position, like our other inspector positions, each year in our budget, we have not only the request for funds from the general fund, but we also have projected revenues that come from inspection fees. And all of our inspector positions are covered by the inspection fees. So the funds that we're asking for today, by the end of the year, will be covered by inspection fees. And that's typical for all of our inspector positions. So to come back to your original question, if I remember it right, this would apply to all residential units, whether it's single family or multifamily. And it would also, it would be a second position that we would have.
Well, I guess one of the concerns I have, Mike, is that, your department wants to be more proactive. But from time to time, when I talk about government regulation to my government students, I sometimes mention to them that here in Sioux Falls, I can get down any street and I can find something wrong with everybody's property. We have so many regulations. So I am really quite concerned that, taking a more proactive stance, we could probably fine a lot of people for violations. I guess what I would hope is that we would move in a direction towards getting rid of a lot of these needless regulations. Has the department thought about doing that?
All the regulations that we enforce are adopted by the city council. We're the enforcers, you're the policy setters, so
well,
I think you need to ask the rest of your group up here about that.
In the past, if I could just mention, Mike, I've asked other people, in these departments, you're the experts, and then usually what happens, you detect something that's wrong and bring it to us, and then we just go ahead and pass it. But since you're the experts on this, we don't work with these regulations on a day in and day out basis. If you could find some of these needless regulations that are kind of irritating to people, that would be very helpful, and we could eliminate those.
And again, just to remember, when we did pass the amendments to the International Property Maintenance Code, we did include a number of local amendments. After meeting with different groups, there are amendments that we included with that actually address or try to address existing buildings. So yes, we are trying to respond to things that you're talking about.
Kevin?
I would hope the council would be very serious about passing this ordinance. I've been on this council for 7 years now, and rather than dealing with students, I deal with citizens, and I have to tell you, and I think you'll be shaking your head in agreement, by far, the majority of the calls that I get from citizens have to do with this very issue. Mike talked about the neighborhood planning that we're doing in one of our core neighborhoods. He's absolutely right. They find it laughable that we have one inspector for the thousands of housing units in this community. It goes to the intent. They don't feel that we have any intention of enforcing our own building codes. And I think we need to send a message to those folks who complain constantly about what is happening in their neighborhood. The sloppy housing next door, the junk vehicles in their backyard, everything else that is that these housing inspectors have to go out and take care of. And I think it's time that we quit talking about how, well, we only enforce things by complaint. Well, you know what? When the citizens complain, that's how you start enforcement. And we have not been enforcing our ordinances. The citizens know that. And that's why they think it's laughable that we have one inspector for the thousands upon thousands of housing units in this community. And it's no wonder we have a backlog.
Pat?
Move for approval.
Second, let's.
Pat, motion to approve. Who seconded it? Let's second it. Others wish to address council on item number 28, is that? Further comments? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Let me just mention that, another major problem we have with how we enforce these codes today is that, granted, we do have people calling in anonymously. And so we're starting to have, some citizens who know how to play the game, and so they're harassing their fellow citizens. So, I think it would be desirable in the future to not have anonymous complaints. And also for Mr. Kavanaugh, I might mention, too, that my students are also citizens, too, of Sioux Falls, of the United States of America.
So a motion been made, and
I might respond to that. I've never dealt with an anonymous citizen complaining. When a citizen talks to me, I know who they are.
Well,
excuse me, Bob's got the floor right now.
Well, I would just like to make a comment that when we had our goal-setting session, and we were talking about what we can do to improve the city, one of the things was that this city needs to be more proactive in the enforcement of its codes. And I think that was a general consensus of the council at that time, and I think we ought to remember that.
Bob Litz.
I too agree with the tone of what's being said here. You know, if we're going to clean these neighborhoods up, we've got to put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah, okay, let me just clarify. When we talk about citizens complaining anonymously to the city, what happens is they call in and they are not required to give their name. Now, granted, they might call you, Mr. Kavanaugh, and give their name. That's fine, but many of these complaints are done anonymously.
Okay, we've got a motion made by Costello, seconded by Litz to approve item 28. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion approved, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 28 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 29.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending certain provisions of Chapter 7 relating to animals and fowl, including increasing the fees for licensing dogs and cats.
Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, Gary Caldwell, City Attorney. This ordinance change is brought to you by the City Attorney's Office and the Sioux Falls Police Department, working in conjunction. It's a fairly simple ordinance dealing with our animal control, animal regulation. Lieutenant Tom Olson of the Police Department is here to answer any specific questions you might have about the ordinance or the changes that we're proposing. You can see part of it is housekeeping. We're substituting the police department, the chief of police, for the health department because of the change of the control of animal control from health to the police department. You can also see on the first page, section 7.1 definitions. We've added a definition for apparent attitude of attack. That is a definition which gives us strength dealing with a vicious animal and how we deal with vicious animals. On the second page, under owner, again in definitions, we've clarified the fact that it's amazing how often it happens when there's an animal out of control at a residence and nobody at that residence claims to be the owner of that animal. It's my wife's, it's my husband's, it's not mine. This says if you live in the house and you're an adult and the animal lives there, you're an owner. The next change is in section 7.21, again, other than the changes that are housekeeping in nature. Basically clarifying that when we require an animal to be vaccinated, it has to be vaccinated by a veterinarian, a duly licensed veterinarian. And I think you'll also see in section 760 that we've made changes to the licensing. Basically, the cost of licensing remains the same for a neutered cat or dog, but if you're a pet owner and you want your animal, your dog or your cat, to be unneutered, then the registration fee goes up significantly, recognizing the additional cost that comes with breeding animals in the city.
Let me just add, you know, in items 29, 30, 31, 32, our first readings, and first readings just for the audience and for the people at home viewing are for staff. The staff contact or talks to the council, and the council can ask questions on the first reading, and it's not that time for public input. Second reading, public is sure openly invited to come up forward, but this is just for the staff to explain to the council. So that's what we have. Now, are there questions on 29? Okay. Let's go to 30.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing the mayor to enter into an annexation agreement between the City of Sioux Falls and TV Real Estate, LLC.
Good evening. I'm Mark Cotter with the Office of Public Works. Mike Cooper and I will talk to item 30, 31, and 38. What we've done is the last time we spoke to you about this item, it was at an informational, and since then there's been updated cost estimates. So we'd like to spend about 5 minutes just updating the presentation with you and then take comments from you. Go through them. Okay, again, the area of focus for this development agreement is near the intersection of 69th Street and Southeastern. The area The area that was constructed last year was 1/4 mile south of 57th Street. This development agreement would allow the developer to start construction of this southeastern at this point and take it down to this point. 69th Street improvements would start here by the Sioux Falls Christian Schools, and it would be half of a median divided roadway as it would be also on southeastern and come to this east property line. Next slide. This is just a closer view to show you that our intention would be that the complete intersection of 69th Street and Southeastern would be constructed. As most development starts to mature, the intersections are where there's significant public and private utilities get installed, and when we do roadway widening projects where we impact the public the most is typically in those intersections, and so our intent here is to do a full construction of that, and then as capacity and traffic matures, the additional lanes would be added, and there'd be significant or insignificant impact to the traveling public. Next slide. This slide again is just to show you where the future lift station that would be constructed by the city of Sioux Falls is out here in a basin called 28. This is the area that we're in question. So we've certainly got some growth area here that's programmed before this lift station would go in effect. Expectation in that 5 to 7 year time period. This is the subject temporary lift station that would service this area south. This area from here north would flow into an existing gravity sewer that is a part of the East Side Sanitary Sewer Phase 1. This segment, however, has not been constructed yet, and this would start at approximately this point and go over near 57th and Sycamore. Next slide. We've just got a couple of slides again that shows what half of a median divided roadway section would be. The dashed lines would be lanes that would be added in the future. This roadway would be, this is 69th Street, so the south portion of the roadway would be constructed along with the sidewalk that is located on the south side. Next slide. This is southeastern. If you were standing on the south limit of the project looking north, it would be the west side of the road. Again, median divided roadway and pedestrian facility would be constructed on the west side. Next slide. A segment where the future 69th Street and Railroad overpass would be constructed, which our target time is 2015. We would only put in a asphalt, no curb roadway because in the future that would certainly come out with the development of the overpass. Next slide. Again, just to highlight the why we are looking at this, with this agreement, the developer would dedicate 10 acres of land to the city of Sioux Falls for the railroad overpass and open space. There's also a portion of South Dakota 100 right-of-way that would also be dedicated with this proposal. We've talked about the terms of when we would pay this back. TV would also provide $75,000 of operation and maintenance dollars for our Public Works water reclamation plant to manage as we take over this lift station for a temporary period of time. We did take this approach to the CIP committee and the IRAB committee, and I will highlight some of those comments and concerns toward the end. And another comment that we've managed for many years is the dust concerns from Sioux Falls Christian School. Next slide. Again, this is the cost curve that has been developed by the South Dakota Department of Transportation, and we've annualized the rate of inflation from construction over the 20-year period is a 5-year rate. The last 10 years is a 7-year rate, and the last 5 years is 11-year rate. Next slide. So to summarize, one of the things that we talked about, this is the main slide that's been updated. One of the things we talked about at the informational meeting was that preliminary cost estimates were preliminary. The developer's engineer has taken a closer look at those costs. Now the present value, using the last 10-year escalator, is the current present value of this asset is $3.248 million. with a future value in 5 years would be $4.55 million. This cost alone is $1.307 million. This does not take into account the donation of the 10 acres of land for railroad overpass and open space, or the additional 2.7 acres of land for the future South Dakota 100. Next slide. We've talked about the how. There is obviously several steps that we'll take before the mayor would be authorized to sign, because that would come from your approval. But if that is reached, we will then write a separate agreement with the developer to acquire the necessary funds, and then the city will facilitate this through public bidding and construction process. Next slide. When? This is probably the other change that's coming forward. On April 9th is where we're at tonight. We wanted to show you the first reading of these two ordinances. The first one is the ordinance of item 30, which would allow the mayor to sign the development agreement. The item 31 actually allows us to receive the funds through a supplemental appropriation, which would be called developer loan funds. And then item 38 actually tags along and says, if those two are approved, that's the resolution of annexation. May 7th, though, however, we've had concerns when we brought this to the IRAB committee that there is no set policy in place to receive these types of requests from a developer. And so what Mike and I have committed to doing is we would ask you to defer items 30, 31, and 38 tonight to May 7th. And in that time frame, we will come back with a framework of what the prepayment of infrastructure policy would be. Mike, do you also want to share some of the concerns that came out of that IRAB committee?
Just to clarify, item 38 is actually including this project in the CIP. We would include a fourth item at second reading, which would be the actual annexation resolution. And what we're asking for tonight is not deferral, but to change the second reading to May 7th. I just want to clarify that is the intent. As Mark said, when we did present this to the IRAB Infrastructure Review Advisory Board as a concept, there were questions raised about the timing of this and the reason that the city staff has been working on this without a lot of public comment or other opportunities by developers to request similar type projects. When we were initially approached by the developer to do this, it actually went back into 2006 when I started getting more involved in this. And initially we looked at what would be the public benefits of entering into an agreement like this with TV. And as Mark has discussed, the public benefits would be the ability to get a substantial donation of land for the future 69th Street overpass, for a future neighborhood park site, for the South Dakota 100 right-of-way, as well as getting the Southeastern Avenue and the 69th Street improvements done now rather than 5 or 6 or 7 years into the future. We have been getting complaints about dust control by Sioux Falls Christian and by the University of South Dakota with their athletic field. So it was an opportunity to look at a way of speeding up that street improvement by using today's dollars that we could reimburse the developer 5 years after the project is done, and there would be a substantial cost savings to the taxpayers to do that. If you add up the cost savings of the street improvements along with the land donation, it's probably going to be at least that $1.8 to $1.9 million figure. So that was our motivation to work on this. It's involved a lot of negotiations, a lot of assistance with the city attorney's office, by the city attorney's office. And if we've erred in not bringing this to the IRAB committee sooner rather than later, we'll certainly take the rough for doing that. But it's our recommendation that by delaying second reading to May 7th, It would allow us to work with the Land Use Committee and others of trying to develop some type of a policy on how these agreements might be structured in the future. Our 2015 plan has an annexation policy that we might look at in terms of what would allow decisions to be made in the future in terms of temporary lift stations to serve development land that's not currently identified in the 2015 plan, or actually looking at how the phasing of these future growth areas would be done so that the development community has a better idea of what land could be annexed and could be provided services. Along with that, development agreements are pretty common around the country, and I thought it was interesting to look at some case studies that would help us put together a policy. And one of the introductions of a document that we would refer to talks about potential criticisms from entering into development agreements. And one of those is that they would potentially lack structure or a set methodology. And at the same time, they would not allow for future flexibility or adaptability to specific situations. Another potential criticism would be that there would be contentious that certain people within the community might be denied involvement in the negotiation project, and that these development agreements would be subject to, they need to be subject to established rules, procedures, policies, or established plans, and that there would be criticism that people would be left out of this public process. So that's exactly what we're hearing from some members of the IRAB, and we're certainly willing to sit down and try to talk about how we could establish such a policy. But in the interest of moving forward with this one, it took a lot longer to negotiate this agreement than what we had originally anticipated. And with the goal of getting the street improvements potentially done this year, that's why we're kind of bringing this to you now to try to move forward. And we realize that there are people that were saying that maybe we should step back and put together a policy, but I think it's important, at least our recommendation is to continue to move forward with this at the same time that we do establish a policy.
Questions of Mark or Mike on item 30? Kevin?
Thanks, Mike. I know that Public Works and Planning have spent a great deal of time on this, and I'm intrigued by the concept, and I think it could be very beneficial for the city, simply in terms of the money we might save over the cost of waiting to do this. My concern has to do with two things. First of all, the fairness of it. If we can have a policy, hopefully by the second reading, that will clearly establish the ground rules for who else might be able to do this, because I believe there will be others knocking on our door. And secondly, I've not heard anything from our finance department. Too much of a good deal might just mortgage our future here. And I'm very concerned that if if one is all right and two is better, when does it get to be too many? Because we need to look at what's going to happen 5 years down the road in every case. And we need to understand that we are not getting a free ride here. We are delaying the cost of doing this.
And that's a very good point, because part of our policy would be addressing that issue of debt, future debt, because if these types of agreements would continue to obligate the city for future debt, then we need to have as part of our policy at what level is that debt going to be authorized? What are the guidelines in the future for similar types of requests? So that's part of the policy that we're going to attempt to bring forth within the next couple of weeks.
James. Mike, you had indicated that development agreements are common around the country. I'm sure there's some model agreements out there that other cities have used. I'm sure that access to those would be recommended if you're going to present those to the Land Use Committee, that would be an excellent format to start from, what's worked in other cities and what hasn't.
Right, and that's our intent, is to try to do that.
Following up on what Kevin was saying, one of the concerns that we have is typically the CIP process has been a 5-year plan, but a 1-year funded item. This will obligate the city for funding 5 years or more in the future, and we need to make sure that we have the vehicle in place, that the money will be there when we get to that 5th year and debt comes due. So,
Bob Litz and then Joe.
I too have been looking at it, and you said this hasn't been floated that long, but I remember about 2 years ago these ideas coming at IRAP out there and getting floated around. So I don't think that we've come up with this all of a sudden. These ideas have been in the back of everybody's mind for quite a while. You know, we talk about the danger of, you know, going out too far and spending too much money. And I guess I would submit to this council that if the system that we had in place was working well, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. And so I think maybe what we're at here is the brink of starting to think outside of the box of what we have been doing and looking at the future of doing business a little bit differently.
Further questions to Gerald?
My only comment, in addition to what Kevin's already suggested to us, is, and it's a very good comment that he made, is, you know, we can always say there's a cost curve benefit to just about any project we want to do down the road. One of my concerns is the CIP process, and as Bob has suggested, in this policy, there has to be some discussion about moving a project from 5 years to 1 year, and the justification not only financially, but just from good public policy.
Further, Pat?
You know, just to echo the thoughts that I think this is probably going to be a great tool for us in the future, but as we all learned last week, I have a problem with making decisions on things when we don't have policy in place. I wonder, you know, what percent we should, how much we should encumber. Should we take bids from various developers? Because I'm sure there are lots of other developers that want to be a part of the game. There's a lot of different things that, you know, we've talked about, and it just seems like we need to have a policy in place first, but not only a policy for this tool, but a policy about how we're going to build our arterial roads. Because there's a lot of changes that we've talked about that in that of itself. And so how is that discussion going to impact this policy of taking money from developers and building roads ahead of time? And it's, you know, there's a lot of play here, and I'm wondering if May 7th is adequate time to develop and get enough input.
Again, I think our intent is to bring a framework of what that policy is, and part of that discussion will be how are we going to take care of the backlog of what's currently been petitioned or in need. And so that's certainly going to be part of our process that we bring back.
Do we know where this particular project is in the CIP, what year it is in right now?
It's not currently in the CIP.
Bob Jameson.
And therein lies, you touched on it a little bit, the backlog of projects that are out there right now. This council is going to have to step up to the plate to fund those backlogged items, or we're not going to solve any problem at all, because we pay for it in 5 years and we've still got 30 million or 35 million or whatever it is of backlogged projects. We need to figure out a way to fund those so that this project, which is not even in the CIP, is not prioritized over those that are already in the CIP and have a priority listed.
Further questions on item 30 or 31? Not. You've covered 31 too, haven't you? Yeah. So we're going to take item 29 first, because that's to set the hearing date for item 29 for April 16th. Is there a motion to set that hearing date for item 29 for April 16th?
Move to approve item, the date of hearing.
Brown moves. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, second. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of a motion to set the hearing date for April 16th for item 29 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes. That vote is 8-0 for item 29. The hearing date has been set for April 16th. Now 30-31.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would move to set second reading for items 30 and 31 for May 7th.
Second, Jameson.
Okay, motion been made and Jameson seconded. Everybody understand the motion? All in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
That motion passed 8-0. 32, that's still the first reading now for item 32.
Set a hearing date and second reading for May 7th, 2007 at 7 p.m. First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Section 4361 by removing license requirement and instead granting an exclusive franchise for providing ground ambulance transport services within the city and increasing ambulance service rates set forth in Section 4368, along with repealing Sections 4362 through 4367 and 4369 through 4373 of Chapter 43. Vehicles for Hire, Article 4, Service, Ambulance Services of the Code of Ordinances of said city.
This ordinance change comes as a recommendation from REMSA and its medical board, the two citizen oversight boards. Gary and I have participated with both all the process and the review and the drafting of this language. And we concur with their recommendations. Following their review, they have identified that we have a good quality accredited ambulance provider. They have a proven track record. We've done diligent local research that has identified them as good partners with the healthcare organizations. There's satisfaction with their service. They have an excellent quality improvement system that integrates information from the medical providers then on a month-to-month basis, and they can adjust medical protocols as adaptable to changing medical priorities. So the recommendation is that are coming out of this REMSA is to continue with rural metro as a single provider in Sioux Falls and to make major revisions as identified here with the ordinance to support an exclusive franchise model. The second change in the ordinance would be to allow for REMSA to approve up to a 4% annual increase that would be 4% or less as identified by the medical CPI. And included with this ordinance then is a 4% change that would be in effect with the ordinance change. And Gary will cover the franchise and mainly the contract portions of those.
Questions of Judy?
Yeah, Judy, I was wondering, we've talked about this over the years, the ambulance service in Sioux Falls, but we've never had the medical director here, Dr. Luther.
He will be here and available next when we do the second read, as will other rooms that you have. We had medical board, and he will be here at the second read.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions of Judy? Okay, Gary.
I'll be very quick because I think the council has heard this several times already. Again, for the public, we're proposing to modify our ambulance licensing ordinance to make it an exclusive franchise. The entire city of Sioux Falls will be covered by one franchise for surface ambulance services other than certain items that are excluded. Those would be the same items that are now excluded. We are proposing that the contract, the licensing agreement between the city and rural metro be incorporated in and made part of our licensing ordinance, because within the contract language is the regulatory scheme, the regulations that protect the citizens of Sioux Falls, if you would. It's up to an 8-year contract with a 5-year contract with 3 years the contract can be extended automatically for good performance. And again, the 4% increases. I would answer any questions that you might have.
Questions of Gary?
Yeah, Gary, I have a question. In the past, the ambulance service has acted as a de facto monopoly. Now we're moving to a de jure monopoly. Why are we having that change?
We are having, we're proposing that the council consider an exclusive franchise provision by ordinance. In the past, and for many years, the licensing agreement between the city and rural metro indicated that it was an exclusive license. However, the city ordinance did not mirror that same language. We are trying to make both reality and the ordinance comply with one another.
Further questions on 32? If not, is there a motion to set the hearing date for May 7th?
I so move.
Kevin?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick question on the ordinance itself. The fees, I noticed they've gone, is that the 4% cap, or are we, did the fees that are being proposed in here reach the 4% cap, or are they in line with the medical cost index? Can anyone?
Judy?
They're calculated at the 4% cap.
Okay.
We've not had a fee increase for about 2.5 years. So.
I understand that, but under this ordinance, we would have either the medical cost index or 4%, whichever is
Right.
less.
Right. Any increase after this on a, couldn't occur until at least a year from the signature on this contract then, because that would be at the cap of 4% or this medical CPI, whichever is less.
But the question I asked is,
Okay.
is the medical CPI, has that exceeded 4%?
It was slightly less than that. I didn't bring that one with me, but it wasn't quite at 4%.
So
Unless
are
somebody
these
has
numbers
that one with me, I sent it
I-
out then, so you
yeah,
have it, okay.
I mean, if I'm reading this right,
Mhm.
2004 would have been 4.4 and 2005 would have been 4.2.
Okay.
Further questions on item number 32? If not, is there, we've got a motion been made. Is there a second? Set the hearing date. Jamison seconds. Set the hearing date for May 7th for item 32. Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of that motion to approve the hearing date for May 7th for item 32, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 32 has been approved 8-0. The hearing date has been set for May 7th. Item 33.
A resolution declaring the necessity to construct sidewalk on the east side of Southwestern Avenue from West 57th Street to West 69th Street and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
Good evening, Chad Heavey, Office of Public Works, Engineering Division. Staff has received several questions regarding the lack of sidewalk or a pedestrian walk route on Southwestern Avenue. This project will install sidewalk on the east side of Western Avenue. Per city ordinance, only property owners with direct access to an arterial street are assessed for this sidewalk installation. This assessment affects two property owners along Western Avenue. Both are owned by the same property owner. It is estimated that these two properties will be assessed of approximately $8,800 for the installation of this sidewalk.
Questions of Chad? Let's go with Pat first.
For the property owners that don't have access onto Western Avenue, are they still responsible for the maintenance, the snow removal?
Yes.
Yeah, Chad, you mentioned $80 to $100. I assume that's per foot.
We're estimating that the total for the two properties will be approximately $8,800.
Oh, okay, $8,800. $8,800.
Yes.
And the reason that we are assessing that is because this land benefits from it, huh?
Right.
How does the land benefit? I mean, how does the property owner benefit from this?
In response, I guess it's engineering has been tasked with the facilitation of this sidewalk program that's been installed by the city council. So how is the property being benefited has been approved by the city council with this policy.
And also, if I could just, obviously the property owner doesn't think they're benefiting from it, or they just put it in. But why aren't we doing this we're just doing this on the east side, and the reason we're not doing it on the west side, there's no...
Currently, that portion of Western Avenue is a 3-lane section that's been built to the east right-of-way line. In the future, when that roadway is widened, we will go to the west, and then sidewalk will be installed at that time on the west side. So
Okay.
that's why we've chosen to go on the east side. Also, as this stretch of Western Avenue has developed, several of the property owners have built the sidewalk during their construction.
Further questions of Chad on item number 33? Others that wish to address the council on item number 33? Council discussion or action?
Move for approval, Jameson.
Jameson moves. Is there a second? Let's second it. Further comments on the motion to approve? Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, I just might add, the city's getting a nice donation here of $8,800 for the sidewalk that doesn't belong to the property owner. So.
Further comments? We've got a motion made and seconded. All in favor of the motion to approve item 33, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Item 33 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 no. Item 34.
A resolution vacating a portion of County Odd Lot H1, Southwest 1/4 section of 36-101-49 as shown on attached exhibit.
Good evening, Shannon Austin, Office of Public Works Engineering. This street vacation is in the southeast part of the city, near the intersection of 57th Street and Sycamore Avenue. The city has been working diligently with the adjacent landowner to realign Sycamore Avenue to the south leg, south of 57th Street. This little portion of right-of-way then is basically not needed and will be vacated. The petitioner has discussed the street vacation with the surrounding neighbors. The existing right-of-way currently right now is not being used, is not a paved surface. The paved surface is immediately south of that portion of right-of-way. We do recommend, engineering is recommending approval to move forward with this project. We are actually planning on realigning the Sycamore Avenue portion in addition to constructing the railroad overpass to the west of here in 2007. So this will help move that project along. In addition, in 2008, we are looking at reconstructing 57th Street from this intersection all the way over to Cliff Avenue.
Questions of Shannon? Bob, Jameson?
The land to the west of where this is proposed to be routed east, will that become part of that drainage way and part of the wetlands mitigation?
There is the majority of that area immediately to the west of the alignment that is basically detention area that the city is purchasing. However, there is a immediate corner right at the intersection of 57th and Sycamore. I think it's about a 400 by 400 square that would be a commercial property right at the corner there.
Further questions of Shannon? Kevin?
Shannon, it's just the yellow portion that's being vacated?
That is correct. The rest of the area that's currently existing is basically just a transfer over to city, and that is actually part of the area that will be used as a detention pond.
All right, so the commercial will go
to the east of that little square.
All right, thank you.
Further questions
Or
of Shannon,
triangle.
item 34. Others that wish to address the council on item 34? Close it to council discussion or action.
I move for approval. Knutson.
Knutson moves with second.
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 34 has been approved 8-0. Item 35.
A resolution amending the City of Sioux Falls engineering design standards.
The engineering design standards were adopted in 1988 and are reviewed and updated annually. The review of these standards is a process that occurs throughout the year as we work with the engineering and development community. Examples of revisions could reflect changes in construction techniques and methods, or revisions adopted by state and federal agencies such as the South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Protection, or the South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Federal Highway Administration, and other national organizations, the National Fire Protection Association, and so on and so forth. These revisions that we have brought forth have been reviewed and approved by the Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board. They also were presented to the Land Use Committee on March 26th. I have several staff here tonight to answer any specific questions about any of the revisions.
Questions of Chad on item 35? Others that wish to address the council on item number 35? Go ahead.
Yeah, Chad, I'm just trying to recall these design standards. This one deals with the curb cuts, doesn't it? Or...
This deals with several chapters,
Sure.
ranging from on a wide variety of subjects.
Because I know, we're trying to eliminate curb cuts all the time.
I
didn't know whether this added to that or not.
Chapter 8 is the chapter that deals with curb cuts or access. That is currently being reviewed as we speak. So we have brought all the other ones forward, and Chapter 8 will come forward at a later date, once we've worked through all the issues.
Further questions of Chad? Others wish to address council on item number 35? Close the council discussion or action?
Move to approve, Litz.
Litz moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Motion made second. All in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 no. Item 35 has been approved. Item 36.
A resolution amending the City of Sioux Falls general conditions for public improvements.
Similar to the design standards, we annually review our general conditions. Our general conditions address items such as bidding requirements, contracts, and measurement and payment of those contracts. This year's revision adds language on the determination and extension of contract times. Our existing documents include language that talks about these for working day contracts only and not fixed completion date contracts. The language we're proposing adds language for both types of contracts that we administer. These revisions have been reviewed and approved by the Infrastructure Review and Advisory Board and have been presented to the Land Use Committee.
Questions of Chad at 36? Others that wish to address? Oh, Bob, James.
Just a question, Chad, because people ask occasionally, why do we not, in a short construction season that we have, construct roads 24 hours a day and that type thing? Would you care to address that?
We would. I guess if we could, we would. But, so many of our reconstruction projects are in the city limits in highly populated areas, and it just doesn't, with the neighbors and the truck traffic and the noise. And in addition, we'd be paying considerably more money to get that short construction period.
Thank you.
Further questions on item 36? Others wish to address the council? Close with the council discussion or action on item number 36. Is there a motion?
Move to approve, Litz.
Litz moved. Is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jamison seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of approving item 36, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 36 has been approved 8-0. Item 37.
A resolution declaring the necessity to repair, rebuild Portland cement concrete sidewalk in front of and abutting the properties on various streets and avenues in sidewalk inspection areas 2106, 2002, and 2003 in the city of Sioux Falls, and assessing the cost to each lot or tract of land benefiting thereby.
This project is the city's annual sidewalk program. Currently, the city is on a 12-year inspection rotation of all city sidewalks, and the districts are based on our water billing districts. The affected districts by this project are highlighted in yellow Districts 2003 and 2002 are west of I-29, and District 2106 is on the east side of town. These districts were inspected in 2005. Notification letters were sent out in 2006 with completion dates for the repair or replacement of sidewalk in 2006 and in 2007. A total of 723 letters were sent out to property owners to repair or replace their sidewalk. Of those, 504 did repair or replace their sidewalk by the deadline or time frame that we gave them. That leaves us with 219 properties that need sidewalk either repaired or replaced. This project will take care of that. What we've seen in the past is that typically of those 219, 30 to 40% of those sidewalks will have been repaired or replaced. We just don't. They either did not submit the proper paperwork or contact us to come out and verify that it's been done. So if we were to replace the 219 properties with sidewalk, we're estimating that assessment would be $84,000. If it's only 60 to 70% of those properties, we're expecting it'll be $58,000.
Questions on item number 37?
Yeah, I had a person express concern about this issue because they got the door hanger and they haven't heard anything more since then. So I just want to clarify, on this one here, the inspections were done last year, is that right?
In 2005.
Okay, 2005, so
Correct.
almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, almost two years ago. So we get the door hanger, okay, and then they get the letter when?
Once all the inspections are completed, and I don't know what the time frame is, if it's, I'm assuming it's several months that it takes to inspect these sidewalks. The door hangers go out, letters go out. The letters will contain the, several guidelines and how they should go about getting a licensed contractor to repair them. Yeah. Then they would contact us. Then we would come back out to ensure that the work was completed per city standards.
Mm-hmm. So this, I'll have to ask this person more details, but if you have the notice being the door hanger in 2005, you can figure 2 years later you should have it done. Is that a fair statement?
Well, if they completed the...
I mean, before they start getting assessed and everything.
If they completed the inspections, let's say in the fall of 2005, we would not expect them to, I guess, replace or repair any of their sidewalks till 2006. We'd probably group them so that a certain number would be completed by a certain date in 2006, and then a certain group probably that would be early in 2006, and then another group probably towards the late fall of 2006.
Okay.
So I would be, if you could get me the owner's name, and with door hangers and letters, there's always a possibility of something happening where they didn't get it. Or
also, too, on all these 723 letters, do you have a guesstimate of how much the city will save by having the property owners, the adjacent property owners, pay for all this?
Well, the total amount will be assessed.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to have the adjacent property owners, repair the city sidewalks.
Are you asking if
do you
having us do it versus
just
them doing
the
it?
total cost, the total cost that's going to be involved. We're going to have adjacent homeowners fixing the city's sidewalk, and then some of them will not, and then, of course, we'll assess them. But the total, do we have an idea of how much money the city's saving by having the adjacent property owners pay for it?
We're estimating that if we have to, per our contract, repair or replace the sidewalk at the 219 properties, we're estimating that at $84,000.
Yeah. So for 723, you might just triple that amount. Is that fair or not?
Sure.
Okay.
You just briefly touched on it, but I've always been curious, and can you make a recommendation to the citizens? Is it better just to allow the city to come in and make this repair on a bid process, or are they better off trying to go out and find a contractor to do their little piece?
My feeling is that the majority of the people that do not do it don't want to hassle with it. They just would rather have us take care of it, since that's our business.
And I guess from a cost standpoint, in your experience of construction and engineering, are they better off that way, or is there some savings to go and trying to hire a contractor and do it yourself? You could argue that one contractor bidding on a large section of the city at a time has some efficiencies over, a bunch of different contractors.
Absolutely. And I guess if I was the homeowner, my time is very valuable to me with my family, so I may choose just to hire somebody to do it, or I would choose to have the city do it.
You dodged that very
Well,
well.
I would say that it would be maybe more economical for possibly the homeowner to do it himself.
Question.
Chad, I just want to clarify. We still have that 18% charge the city adds for contracting it out, don't we?
Per city.
So the city makes it 18% if we contract it out.
Are you talking about the 14% in engineering costs?
Or is it 14%? Okay.
Yeah, per
It's
city
14%.
ordinance, it's 14%.
Okay, 14%, okay.
Absolutely.
Further questions of Chad, 37. Others that wish to address the council on item number 37. Then we'll close it to council discussion or action.
I move for approval.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments? I see no further comments. All in favor of the motion to approve, will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
All members present vote. Item 37 has been approved. 7 yes, 1 no. Item 38.
A resolution amending the 2007 to 2011 capital program. The estimated cost is $3,600,000 and will require an increase in appropriations that will be funded by developer loan funds.
Mr. Chair. Move to defer till May 7th.
I second that
Okay,
motion.
Kavanaugh moved to defer to May 7th, and it was seconded by Knutson. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of that motion to defer until May 7th will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Motion to defer has been approved 8-0. That will be heard on May 7th. 39.
A proposed resolution vacating East Walnut Street from North Wayland Avenue to North Blauvelt Avenue.
This portion of Walnut Street is east of the John Morrell plant on the east side of Cliff Avenue. The right-of-way is unimproved and does not contain any city utilities. The petitioner's house was built before this area was annexed into the city. The house is located 1 foot from the right-of-way line. The right-of-way that they're asking to be vacated is 264 feet long, and within that 264 feet, there's 54 feet of elevation change. Up here on the monitor is looking down at the 54 feet of change in elevation. And it's highly unlikely that a public street would be constructed in this right-of-way.
Questions that you had on item number 39? Others that wish to address the council on item number 39? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Costello moved. Is there a second?
Second. Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments? Not all in favor? Pardon?
Excuse me. Are we talking about just 39, or are we going to take 39 through 42?
No.
Oh, yeah. we gotta sit. Let's take them all. Go ahead. Good. That's my fault.
Yeah, I think he was confused. Is what I
Go with 40.
A proposed resolution vacating West 3rd Street from 246 feet east of the center line of North La Mesa Drive to West 5th Street and West 5th Street from West 3rd Street to West 5th Street as shown on the attached Exhibit A.
This right-of-way is located approximately 1 mile northwest of the William Brothers Tank Farm on West 12th Street. During the development of this property, a need has arisen to realign this street. So the petitioner's intent is to replat this area into new lots and blocks and replat the right-of-way southwest of where the existing right-of-way is.
Questions? Let's go to 41.
A proposed resolution vacating West Genie Drive as shown on the attached exhibit.
Genie Drive is a quarter mile south of 26th Street off of Marion Road. This unimproved right-of-way dead ends at the west right-of-way line of Interstate 29. Before the construction of the interstate system, this right-of-way was used as a roadway. Since, however, this portion has not been used as a roadway. With this right-of-way vacated, the petitioner will have reduced building setback requirements during development. If vacated, a utility easement will be maintained.
Questions? 42.
A proposed resolution vacating West 81st Street from the east right-of-way line of South Minnesota Avenue, Highway 115 East, to the west right-of-way line of South Shadow Creek Avenue.
This portion of 81st Street is just east of Minnesota Avenue. The petitioner's intent is to shift this right-of-way to the south. This right-of-way alignment has been approved by the Planning Department via a minor amendment to the Grand Prairie subdivision.
Questions? Pat, can we move your motion to conclude all those?
Yep.
Okay. Bennigan, will you approve that? Okay, the motion has been by Costello, seconded by Bennigan to approve items 39 through 42 for the second reading of May 14th. All in favor of that motion, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes. Hearing date has been set for items 39 to 42 for May 14th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Jameson moved to second. Brown seconded. All in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Stand adjourned.
I was 4 minutes off.
How's it going, fellow citizen? Good.
Great. You did
Let me see. Today is April. Oh, that's right. April 9th.
Can't do it off the initials.
He has to vote for those that voted on it. Should be dead. So his future votes outside the official. Just that he couldn't keep bringing it up if he had to vote on it while he was on the council. See, that was all passed.
You can sign it anyway.
I've always wondered that, whether or not you're really better deals.